I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Verification of notice.
The meeting was properly noticed.
Okay, let the minutes show that all are present except Tom Jensen. Any public comment on an item not on the agenda? If not, you've all had a chance to look over the minutes from the August 29th meeting. Any additions or corrections?
I would move approval of the minutes as distributed.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve the minutes from the August 29th, 2022 meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now, approval of the minutes for the September 20th meeting.
I'll move to accept the minutes for the September 20th Town Board meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve the minutes on the September 20th.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Police Chief's report.
Chief Haferman texted me earlier this evening and said he was unable to attend tonight, but he did want me to pass along to you that Jake and Vanessa, Officer Danner and Officer, can't remember Vanessa's last name, but they're both doing very well. They're getting out there and they're writing tickets, so.
Good, good. Anything from the road supervisor?
The roads crew are very busy with brush pickup this week, so
Does that go all week?
it does.
Okay.
It does. They spent Monday, yesterday, driving around and making their pickup route, and then they're starting.
Do people have to contact Jeff, or do you just throw it out there and you expect them to come? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And if people have their brush out, then they're making up routes. So if you have brush that you want picked up out on the road, they'll know to pick it up.
Okay.
So,
Okay, clerk treasurer's report.
we are finalizing some budget numbers. I'm still working on reconciling the county's garbage list with Badgerland or LRS's garbage list. So we're working on that. We're 3 weeks away from the November election. There's a lot of interest in that election, so we've been sending out a lot of absentee ballots and a lot of questions about in-person absentee voting, which starts next Tuesday.
Okay, and for in-person absent or in-person early voting, they can come right into the town hall and,
Yes, they can during regular hours. They do not have to make an appointment. They just need to bring an ID.
okay. Okay, any questions for Susan?
No.
Okay, next item is annual update on Cambridge School District by Margie Banker.
Hey, Marie, how are
I
you?
even gave you a chair tonight, you don't have to stand.
I think everybody got, you guys want to share here. Everybody got one of
Thank
these
you.
already in the mail, right? That was from earlier, I hope. Saw this in August, it should have come to your houses.
Yeah, I think I
Good
got
evening.
one.
The plan here is for me to come and join your meeting at least once a year. I came a couple times last year to share updates from the school district. Just as an opportunity for me to engage with you guys on your turf. Obviously, you can join us at any board meeting that we have, anytime you'd like. This year, we took a effort to reach out to every postal code member, pretty much in the school district. So this should have come to your homes, I hope. that it's familiar to you. And our goal every year by doing this mailing is to share updates, sort of the highlights of what's going on, a snapshot of who we are, where we're at. For example, the demographics that are in the front cover to kind of talk us through the district's budget, $16 million budget. The mill rate last year was $9.12. We voted on setting the mill rate last night at $8.88. The last 7 years, the mill rate has gone down, so that's favorable for most taxpayers. Of course, you all know that your assessments went up, so there's always that complex valuation from the state of Wisconsin called, the value aid equation. Last year we had 428 students in our elementary school, 193 students in our middle school, 260 kids in our high school. We had 26 students in our environmental charter school at Koshkonong Trails on the Severson Learning Center property. And then we had 11 students in our virtual school program, which was new last year to address the ongoing complexities of school during COVID times. The other information in this mailer really just talked about some of the highlights. For example, we do our best to go out and seek grant funding to offset our expenses. So you'll note as part of that information, there's a table or a chart that shows that we had over $400,000 of grants that we were awarded for various stakeholder groups. And those, again, are efforts to offset our ongoing costs. A couple of highlights that are points of pride for sure. Cambridge Elementary School was identified as a green ribbon school by the Department of Education. There were only 7 school districts in the state. That took about a 10-year effort to get to the place where they reached that level. So a group went out to Washington, D.C. to receive that award from the Department of Education. So some of the efforts that sort of wrapped up to equivocate that green ribbon included things like recent energy efficiency work that was done at that facility. There are solar panels on the roof, and there were some improvements done to the building envelope and things that made it more efficient. There's been composting going on there for a long time, farm to school, meals served. We harvest food at the Severson Learning Center after running our school programs and lunches. So that's something to be excited about. We did implement 2 new elementary playgrounds this year. One of those has a surface that's accessible to anybody, so it has the poured-in-place surface. Again, an advantage for kids who can't normally access a playground. So I think the essence of me coming is to share those highlights, to also recognize that we've been in difficult financial times. I recently signed a letter with the rest of the Dane County Soups. I recognize I'm in Jefferson County right now, but there's many districts here that are also having the same challenges where there was no new state aid the last 2 years. So we did receive ESSER funding. That funding was not related to any of the safety protocols that we implemented. That's been sort of one of the confusions that's been out there about ESSER funding. Really, it was based entirely on the number of kids that we have that qualified for free and reduced lunch. So we essentially got $530,000 over 2 years. That's the only new money that we got. So we eliminated 3 teaching positions, an administrator last year, in order to balance our budget this year. There's not a lot of wiggle room, as everybody knows, with inflationary costs. Nothing is less expensive than it was in the past. So we are grappling with the cost to continue like everybody else. But that said, we established a strategic plan this year. Happy to say this is my 2nd year, so it's a little bit easier when I know faces and I know names, so that's an advantage. We wrote a strategic plan. The Board of Education wrote some goals for themselves. That was the first time that they had done that in a very long time, so we're making some good forward progress. So I will pause and see what questions you guys have.
Looking at your elementary school enrollment, it's double the size of your junior high. Is that kind of spread across so you won't have issues when they hit junior high
It's
at this
been
point?
kind of a traditional thing. So the district enrollment for the last 12 years has been relatively steady. So that's sort of how it has gone. You think about the elementary school has 4-year-olds through 5th graders, and the middle school has 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. High school has 9th through 12th graders. So you have enough distribution and space for everybody to fit. And since the junior high used to be the elementary school, right, is particularly more spacious than some of the other schools as well.
So the teachers that you had to let go, were they from each of the schools or from?
There was a distribution there was one elementary, one middle, and one high school, and one administrator, who, those were through attrition, so that was sort of like a retirement or somebody who was moving on to a new role. That's kind of the ideal state, is anybody who does that and thinks through the impacts on people's lives. It's really
Right.
challenging to make those kinds of impacts. So yes, in that case, it was attrition, people who had left.
So the open positions you didn't fill, sorry.
We didn't fill them.
Yeah,
no.
okay,
Yeah.
We
speak clear.
combined, we reduced, that kind of stuff.
Thank you for that.
How big are your elementary classes?
It ranges, like at the kindergarten through second grade, we try to keep them under 20 students. That's sort of an ideal number. At the third through fifth grade, they're larger, so they could be up to 26, 28, depending on the
Wow.
grade level. So again, that's relatively typical. My last couple of districts that I was in, Sun Prairie, Madison, same kinds of numbers, in some cases bigger, depending on the course. You know, for example, if you're taking an electives class at a high school, like, you know, tech ed, where you've got a number of welding machines, you're not gonna like double up kids on equipment, right? So you're gonna make choices about that, but there's other courses where you might have more kids enrolled, so.
Are you offering any classes in tech ed with MATC?
We do, so we do, and yeah, Jimmy can speak to that. We do a number of dual credit courses and what we call Start College Now, which is kids getting credit in sort of vocational track, occupational roles at Whitewater, at MATC, Madison College, and so forth. So yes, those are options we put out there for our kids.
Do you find more kids getting interested in tech or in labor careers rather than running off to four-year?
I think about the almost 3 decades I've been at this work, and the first decade was really focused, not the first decade of my career, was really focused on four-year colleges. And I think that, the trends and the understanding around sort of the talent development, the work that's available for people, recognizing what local, sort of businesses have asked us to do with training kids to be ready after graduation for different kinds of work. I think we're more tuned into that, and now kids start with a 4-year plan in high school that sort of articulates a career direction that they'd be interested in, and to the degree that we can, we try to match them with internships, opportunities to practice that along the way, and or opportunities to earn credit before they get out into the sort of post-secondary space. So helps kids to be successful when they get there. They've already got some credit in their back pocket. They already know what college feels like, and they have a taste of some success. So that's been good for us.
And we continue to encourage you to keep investing in the tech labs.
Yes.
I know I work very closely with Larry, and there's certainly room for improvement in those labs and to invest some more money there. We help as much, obviously, as we can at the technical college, and we help Larry as much as we can. So, but continue to focus, hopefully, on those welding machines and investing in that equipment, because it will certainly help us all as we move forward. And high schools always lag in that area, everyone.
It's hard to stay current. We were talking about pursuing a Fab Lab grant today, fabrication, sort of thinking about that engineering component, and it's just challenging in school systems to be relevant and stay current with technology as it evolves. So partnering with higher education helps us so much, because then we can either share spaces or share technology. I just approved last night a student early, he's going to graduate at semester. He's going on to do sort of biodiesel work as a career path, and one of the questions from the board members were, what happens when a robot replaces you? And he essentially said, I'll be learning every step of the way to, sort of be the facilitator of that technology, which is the right mindset, right? That kids are going to evolve in their skills, they just have to be ready to learn and develop.
You'll probably be running that robot, probably what he will be doing.
He's a bright young man. I sure hope so.
Well, there's such a shortage in trades, all across the board, not only welding, it's every trade out there, and they're good paying jobs. So I'd certainly agree with Jimmy, we need to push tech ed as much as we can. We got the Severson Learning Center, maybe we need to expand the tech ed to that location as well.
And we do cooperate between the spaces, so kids come back and forth and do different courses and so forth, so, yeah, that
Yeah.
is.
And your groups are always welcome to the colleges, You guys come over quite often, so.
Okay, anything else?
Chat about?
Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Hopefully I'll see you before next year. Right? You're welcome at our meetings too, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is discussion and possible action on approving a provisional regular operator's license for Ben Stencliffe at the Lake Ripley Country Club.
Just done the training? Is that a
Yeah.
Yes?
Oh, yeah, it's in there.
I would move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve the provisional regular operator's license for Ben Stencliffe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Discussion and possible action on purchasing Badger Books electronic poll books. We had discussed this at our special budget meeting, maybe for the public. Susan, you can kind of fill us in on that?
The clerk's office is hoping to use electronic poll books for the '24 presidential election. But before that election happens, we would like to have them in place so that residents have an opportunity to use them and become more comfortable with them before the 2024 presidential election. The electronic poll book does everything that the paper poll book does, except that we don't have to write anything down on paper. Everything is electronic so that it goes right to WisVote. It will save us time after the election reconciling the tapes and the voting machine and the reports that go into WisVote. And we just think it would be more efficient to have Badger books.
How much is it?
We
40-something.
are proposing that we have 3 computers and a server, and that would be about $6,000.
For all of them or each?
All of them. For the 3 computers, or for the 3, they look like tablets, is what they do. And then everything, our election is loaded into that tablet, so that when you come to the polling place, you still have to state your name, you still have to show your ID, but instead of the poll workers flipping through the pages, all you do is type in your last name.
The total cost is $6,000
$6,000
for everything?
for everything.
Can we use
And-
ARPA funds or no?
It is ARPA eligible.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. We should use ARPA funds for it.
Do we want to try, are we trying to buy this before the new budget, or is this in the new budget?
It is
Better
in
than
the
the budget.
budget. There is a lag time. It takes about 4 to 5 months to actually get the components. Just like a lot of electronics, there is
So
a
we'd-
lead time.
We'd order it now with the intent that it
That we would,
arrives.
that we would use it in the spring 2023 election.
It's ARPA eligible?
It is ARPA eligible.
I'll make a motion to use the ARPA funds to pay for the new system. What do we call this, Badger Books?
Badger books.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and seconded to approve the purchase of the Badger book for Wisconsin's electronic poll book. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item is discussion and possible action on approving the 2023 Cambridge Fire and EMS budget.
And there have been no changes since it was passed out to us?
No. Well, the draft that I passed out at our special budget meeting has not changed. The entire budget went up, trying to find that percentage. Roughly $200,000.
Didn't you say our percent, our portion was like 80,000?
Our portion is approximately 80,000 more. Went from 380 to 459, let's say 460, so roughly $80,000. And that's due to the Squad 5 lease, which is once a year payment. Will come due this year. That's the first year for that. And that's a big chunk of it. The Plymevent payments, that's the ventilation system to get the gases out of the building, is $12,000. And the payment on the new ambulance will be $18,000, and we're thinking that will be there by mid-year. But there's no guarantee on that.
So some of those costs are one-time costs, like the
Yes.
ventilation system, and
Right.
the rest are due to wage increases, most likely?
Yeah, and then the wages have gone up $129,000.
No, I'm sorry, isn't the ventilation system,
That's not a one-time cost. That's
No,
that's
that's-
been financed.
that's been financed?
Yeah, it's $1,000 a month.
Because it's like $100,000.
100,000, 99 and change.
Yeah. So that we'll be paying for a while.
Yeah.
That's the Plymevent.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anything before?
No.
Yeah, they opened the doors.
Yeah, I know, that's
That's
just
it.
amazing.
When you crank up one of the machines in that building with the
I
doors
know.
closed in 5 minutes, you can't hardly stand to be in there.
I know.
And those are cancer-causing. The big push on that has come in the last 6, 7 years, because we've been debating doing this for a while on the Fire Commission, because you open yourself to liability and stuff like that.
Did that go out for bid and everything, Gene, the system that's being installed?
Really only one that does it,
Oh, there's only one company to do
yeah.
it?
Now, they did a search, and that was the only one that came back, so.
So you need a motion to approve the 2023 Cambridge Fire and EMS budget?
Correct.
Also move.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve the 2023 Cambridge Fire and EMS budget. Our portion being $459,102.11. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. As long as we're talking about that, it looks like we're getting close to getting the final contracts from Jefferson on EMS and fire. A couple minor things needed to get changed, so we'll approve those approve that at the November meeting. In Fort Atkinson, we already approved that one. So that's signed and returned, I believe. Okay, next item, discussion and possible action on the Town of Oakland budget. That has a few more pages to it.
Maybe you can explain the changes you made since the last one we approved?
Yeah,
So everybody understands what-
since last Thursday, when we met on the budget, there was an error in the borrowing section. We borrowed the money, but we didn't put it in the budget to pay it back. So I fixed that in the budget, and I also had an incorrect formula, which helped us to find about $60,000. So
And that got put back into
And-
highway, which is where it's been
and,
pulled from.
right, we put it back into, we had taken some money out of highway to pay for the fire and EMS portions of the budget, and we put that money back into roads. So now our roads budget is about 120.
So let me ask this question, since we found 65,000, can we reduce the borrowing amount from 425 back to 400?
If you did that, then your road budget would go back to 90,000, which is really the only discretionary line in the budget is roads. I would be more comfortable in borrowing that $25,000 and keep that roads at 120. You don't get much done anymore for $120,000 on roads.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just trying to control the budget. If we found money, why not reduce and borrow less with the interest rates? That's just my,
Yeah,
it's a valid question. I mean, we found money, why can't we reduce the borrow?
And I would normally agree with you, except that we stole the money out of highway to make it.
It's got to come from somewhere.
And, but when we look at what we have in, I mean, we've got projects that have been on our list that have been delayed out 4 or 5 years. And at some point, we've got to start dealing with some of them, or they're going to get to the point where it's a total rebuild rather than.
At some point, we got to stop borrowing so much money, too. This
If-
might be a
if
good
I would-
opportunity to back it off since we found some.
I would agree with you there, Jimmy, except our total increase from shared revenues and roads from the state was $6,000.
Yes,
We're-
sad.
That doesn't even pay the gas bill here.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, I just,
We typically have put $200,000 in roads every year. And that's what our intent was to do this year until we got our fire and EMS budget. So my suggestion at that time was to take 75,000 out of roads and borrow an extra 25,000 and use whatever road money we needed over that 125 would be used out of ARPA, which is okay to use, to get back to that $200,000.
But then
Because-
we're going to need the ARPA funds for Park Road, our share.
We can, or we borrow the whole thing, one or the other. We'll make that decision in the summer.
I just think it's a good opportunity to borrow less and save the taxpayers a little bit of money here if we found some money.
Well, the ARPA money sits there earning about 1.5% interest. And this year it's shrunk by 8% just from inflation.
Yeah, we should put it
Really
in the
doesn't
CD.
make much sense to leave that stuff sit in the bank.
No, we should put it in the CD somewhere. Till we
Yeah,
use it.
for 1.75%?
I don't know what CDs are getting. I think they're getting a little more than that. But
No, you're not.
$25,000 isn't that much.
no, I understand.
Difference.
It's an opportunity to save a little money. That's all I'm bringing up. Borrowing less with higher interest rates makes sense if we find more money. We can spend more.
Well, the other thing that's happened is our reval. I mean, there's $48,000 of unexpected expense there.
This is true.
The state's not paying for that. They just told us we have to do it.
it's, Jimmy, I'm sympathetic to your view, but when you look at what is it we're, really required to provide, and it's public safety services and roads, and this is where we're saying we're going to put that money, is public safety and roads. We're not spending a lot of other stuff, other places.
It's all spending.
Huh?
It's all spending.
Yeah, it is.
We got to slow down at some point in time.
But where would you
Tell
cut?
me where you want to slow down.
Yeah,
I mean, you keep saying that, but where are you going to slow down?
there is nowhere,
It's up to the board to decide.
but there is,
Give us a suggestion. Just give me a suggestion.
I just
We've
did.
gone through this budget. Where are you going to slow down?
I just did give you a suggestion.
less borrowing.
Less borrowing because we found some money.
Yeah,
That's my
but
suggestion.
then that cuts your road budget. again.
So you want to cut your road budget back to $90,000? That's what you're telling me?
We can take a vote on it.
Is that what you're telling me?
I just
That's
made
what
the
you,
suggestion.
that's what you would propose?
I made the suggestion.
I move that we approve the 2023 budget as finalized today.
I'll second. So we're going to approve the budget before we approve the borrowing?
We should really approve the borrowing first.
I'm thinking that
So
too.
It's, we got a flip-flop done here. Because the debt is in there
Correct.
as it's proposed.
Okay. So I withdraw my motion and substitute move that we approve the short-term borrowing, the amount of $425,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve short-term borrowing of $425,000 for 2023. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
3-1. Okay, now discussion and possible action on approving the Town of Oakland budget.
I'll move approval.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, I mentioned the rural ambulance and fire budget from Jefferson. Correspondence includes the court dockets and the Cambridge Fire and EMS Commission minutes. And now I would take a motion to approve disbursements.
I would move we approve the disbursements with the opening with Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. That's not a real thing. Never mind. Beginning with electronic funds transfer, Wisconsin Retirement System, and concluding with electronics fund transfer in an aggregate amount of $195,478.88.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve disbursements in the amount of $195,478.88. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. In the minutes that we approved earlier, we had set the electors meeting for November 1st. We don't have enough time to put a Class 2 notice out for that. So I would entertain a motion to change that from November 1st to November 15th.
So moved.
Second.
Is it going to be at 6? Are we going to do that earlier, or?
We'll do it at 7
Do it at
o'clock
7.
and the meeting to follow.
Okay.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to change the elector meeting from November 1st to November 15th at 7 o'clock. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any other business that can legally be brought forth? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.